Episode 2, The Colony, and we've got Derry Mathews. Welcome, Derry.
How you doing, lads? Thanks for having me.
No worries, pleasure to have you on. So then, Derry, how we're going to start is you want to start at the very beginning. What got you into boxing?
Living next door to the famous Solly, the Salisbury ABC, which is the Solly. We lived 3 doors down from there. And where I'm from, you had to fight on the street, so there was no youth club in our little... I live on a estate called Langy, which is... It's only a small estate, but you know, it's got good stock in it, good people on it. And we've got no youth club, and to me, my boxing club was my youth club, and that's where I learned everything I know.
Brilliant. So we're aware that you won a number of ABA titles. You won in the juniors and you won in the seniors. And we know that within the seniors, you won the youngest ever to win a senior ABA title. Tell us about your experiences in the ABAs. What was it like?
It was good. In the seniors or right through.
Right
through. I won a schoolboy title first. The year I won my first schoolboy title, I boxed Nick MacDonald, who he was unstoppable. He was a top kid. I boxed Nick 7 times. He won 4, I won 3. I won the first, he won the next 4. Then I caught up and I boxed him and I boxed Martin Stead, I think the same year. They were 2 national champions, 2 very top kids. Martin Stead beat me 3 times. I beat Martin 3 times. So the year I won them, I had to do it the hard way. I won a schoolboy title. The same year I won the NABCs, National Association of Boys Clubs it was then. It's called the NYCPs or something now. I won the national title, I won a junior ABA title in the same year. So I won 3 national titles in 1 year. I don't think many can do it because at the time it was whenever your birthday was, and I qualified for all 3 of them. I won the 3 national titles and then lost a national final, junior ABA final, to a world champion, Lee Askins, who went on to win a world title. I got disqualified for butting him. Well, they said I was butting him, but you asked Tony Chandler, my amateur coach, he'll disagree with that. Well, from there, got picked then. From there, went to represent England, got picked for the European Games, the Junior Olympics, sorry. I went from there to the Junior Olympics, won a gold at the Junior Olympics out in Michigan, in Detroit. The same tournament, Mike Tyson's won, and the only one who I knew previously to win it was Tony Dodson, who's a good friend of mine and was from the same club, the Solly, and you know, to see things and wanted to do things them lads had done it, I went on to do it. I went from there and then went on to the senior ABAs. I still think to this day that I am the youngest to win it, because I'm 83, but I was 83 born, but I was 18 in September, so I qualified, and everyone in the likes of Paul Smith won it, but they're all, it might be 2 school years above me. They're all, because I'm a weird where I am, to catch up with the age. So Paul Smith and all them, they were the year above or 2 years above me in school, and I went on to win it that year, and I still think I am probably the youngest to win an ABA title, and I think I had 6 bouts in it, stopping 4 or 5, and boxed Fred Holmes in the final, he went to Junior Olympics previous with me, Fred. Tremendous fighter, and he passed away after I boxed him. Not in boxing. He drowned and jumped in a quarry down where he lived, and I'm still friends. Well, when I say friends, still speak to Fred's family a lot now, send them a couple of photos of myself and Fred growing up in the England team together. So, you know, at the time it was a great year for me, but it was a sad time for the loss of Fred.
Yeah.
So I know you've just touched on it a little bit there, but not a lot of people know you actually went on and won the Junior Olympics. You actually got gold, didn't you? Talk us through that experience of actually going to a tournament as big as that.
It was massive. It was, you know, it was in, for me, I was at the age of 16. Yeah. A tournament Mike Tyson had won. The same place I went, the same changing rooms you're watching on the Tyson films, and it was a different experience. It was a complete different experience for me, and I was very lucky that my amateur club, the Solly, paid for Tony Chandler, or Tony paid himself, and my amateur club, for Tony to come over with me as a family, like, as a part of my team. And he weren't allowed to coach, but he was there. He'd done everything for me. He was like what George was as a professional coach. Tony Chandler was as a amateur coach. He done everything you needed, Tony would get you. And so that was great for me to have someone who, you know, I could rely on, standing next to me, and I'll never forget the night we won it, and I think Tony got pissed that night. We were only 16, so we couldn't drink, but I think Tony celebrated in style.
That's an unbelievable achievement, that though, isn't it, really? Because you don't hear of many boxers who've actually gone to the Junior Olympics.
No, you don't, and I boxed a good kid in the final, Aaron Alpha. I boxed a Mongolian guy in the semis, beat him, I think I might have beat him on a countback. It was a close fight, and I boxed Aaron Alpha. He was their hero. I think his dad was the team coach, and he was unbeaten in 50 odd bouts, and so he was expecting an easy night for them. I went out on I schooled him, beat him easy, beat him convincingly, and to beat an American in America in the Junior Olympics was a good achievement for me.
Of course, brilliant. So you went on extraordinarily winning run when you first become pro. What was that like?
It was good. It's mad because like I turned at a young age, a very young age. The year I won the ABA title, I never got picked to the Commonwealth Games in Manchester. Every ABA champion that year went to Commonwealth Games apart from me. So that was telling me my face doesn't fit, and I'm going to go back to Jazza. Jazz on last week. Jazz's face never fitted, and if your face doesn't fit, you're not getting selected and going to where you want to be. They picked Mark Moran ahead of me, and I'm sure that if we get this right, every ABA champion did go, yeah, because Stephen Bell went ahead of Stephen Berg. Stephen Berg was my club mate, but Stephen Berg was number one, without a doubt. Been to 3 World Championships, won 3 ABA titles. That year he never entered the ABAs due to the injury. If I think back, Stephen Bell went. Stephen Bell qualified for the Commonwealth Games. Stephen Bell, he won it and went to Commonwealth Games that year. And it was something crazy like that. It was definitely Berkey or Mulholland even. Mulholland was a featherweight. Mulholland won the year I won them. And everyone went to Commonwealth apart from me. So I was a bit disappointed in that, especially being in Manchester. Yeah. And then they offered me to go to World Seniors. And I was like, well, you shouldn't be sending the best to all the world. We're only going to Commonwealth in Manchester. Come on. And then an offer coming onto the table to turn professional. And it's mad because I'll never forget the day I got a phone call when I decided to turn pro. I was with John Welsh in Liverpool, in town. John just signed for Liverpool. And me and John were friends, close friends, and we were in a music shop. It's now the Lobster Pot facing the Al Wade Smith, Bang & Olufsen or something. There was a music shop in there. And I think he just got his pro deal. He was buying a radio or some music. He's into his Tupac and at the time John was 50 Cent. So we were in there and the phone went, and I was like, and it was a fellow called Derry Mathews who played a massive part in my professional career. He said, we've heard that you're looking to turn professional, we've been in touch with someone, blah blah blah, I've got your number. And I was like, put the phone down, touch a wind. At the time there was no social media, there was no little man Nokia, but not a chance. And then a week later, he says to me, I'll pick you up at your house. I'm in my ma's house in Langley, and then I remember Gary, and I still remember the day he pulled up on a big silver Shogun, and at the time, talking 19 years ago, the Shoguns were like the Bentley Jeeps now. they were the bollocks, you know what I mean? I'm thinking, what this fella's up to, yeah? So, gets in, goes for a meeting over at Chester City. At the time, Stephen Vaughan owned Chester City Football Club. Just put me down, sat me on a table, offered me a contract, but I couldn't refuse, really. I still think now that how lucky I was getting what I got given, do you know what I mean? And we were there, and then the first thing they said was, well, who's going to take me? I need a professional trainer. And George had retired. George hadn't had anyone for numerous years. He'd had throat cancer, he'd been ill. He was going through chemo at the time when I got hold of him. And then he just said, I'll ask my dad. And I'll never forget, I said to Stephen Vaughan, if your dad will take me, I'll sign now. And he went, what? I went, if your dad will take me, I'll sign now. And then, about 2 days later, Georgie Vaughan rang me. Said, alright, Derry, we'll go training on tomorrow. I think this was Saturday, or he said, we'll go training Monday morning. We'll go and train on Monday, I'll pick you up at 6 on Netherfield Road, have your running gear on. We're running. And when Sound George, you know, we're back about 20 minutes later, he went, that's not 6 o'clock in the night, that's 6 in the morning. And I went, oh, I didn't know there was 2 6 o'clocks. So I've been spoiled. And then from there, it was just like, it was mad. It was just like it's hard to explain because I was a baby. I never even had any armpits. I never had a shave till I was 26. I was a late developer. I was a baby, a proper baby. And everyone was going, he's professional, he looks about 10. And then George, for the first like 4 or 5 months, he was just on his bike and I was just running. And I'm running next to him. I don't know this what he's doing, but he's listening to me and he's telling me and he's learning. Well, he's learning what I like and what I don't like. And man managing me, basically, knowing everything. And coming up to I'll bypass and I'll come back. And then I remember like my second fight or something. I'm in the restaurant and George went, oh yeah, I get blah blah blah. And I went, how the fuck do you know me like that? And he went, never on the run. And I went, what? So he knows, you know what I mean? Wow, he knows what you like, what you don't like. So for me, that's just a world-class coach. And for me, because he listens like a sponge and he gives back. And
sort of picking your brain there.
He wants, like one size shoe eye and
just running.
Yeah, running. Yeah, what you want to do? How many hours sleep you're having? Blah blah blah. But it works. And then the proof's in the pudding, you know, the champions he's had over the years. So we're lucky. And I count myself every day. I'm lucky man that I met him. And at the same time, it's like loads of people think me and George are family. It's just that my cousins are George's grandkids, so that played a massive part of our relationship, how close we are now. And even Jazza come in the gym a couple of months back and went, Dad, will you tell your granddad that? I went, it's not my granddad, Jazz. And he's like, George, your granddad? I went, it's not my granddad, he's Kieran's and Cody. And I said, he's not mine. He was confused. So I had to explain to him. I went, fucking hell, Jazz, we grew up together. How did you know that? I just thought it was his granddad. But that's just the way we are. He's like my granddad, really. He's played the father role more than anything to me. So, again, I count myself a very lucky man to have him.
So, skipping forward a little bit, to your 17th fight, you got a chance to fight for the WBU featherweight title, I think it was, against Stephen Forster from Manchester. What was that like going into that fight at such a young age, with sort of the rivalry going on between Liverpool and Manchester and stuff like that? People don't know that. Only a few people know who were around at the time. That before I accepted the Foster fight, I accepted to fight Gary Sinclair, who then boxed Amir Khan later on in Amir's. I think Amir might have fought him for a world title or a combo title, but it was for a world title. He was fighting out in Ireland. He was fighting Scott Harrison at the time. Scott Harrison went AWOL or whatever he does. He's a madman. He just went missing. And then Frank Bonham was on the phone to be on. I'd just won the English title. They were looking for someone to replace him, and Gary Metcalf and Stephen Vaughan took me down the office in Cable House, where Gary's office was. He used to have a property business down there. Went down, sat on the table like this. He went, look, you've been offered this. Frank got on the loudspeaker, blah blah blah. And I'm like, blah blah blah. Offered me the wages and that. But for me, I've always said it's not about the money, it's about the pride. And you want to be, every fighter, they want to be a world champion, no matter what happens in life. It's like, there's £1 million or be a world champion. You're being a world champion, being a fighter. And then, so, and George is going, no. George is saying no, George wouldn't have it. I'm going, George, you're only a pup, come on, got loads of time, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, George, world title. I've seen Nazim and everyone fight for this belt. I said, I want this belt. Blah blah blah. So Frank goes off and George and I said, we can buy the house here. Gary and Steve said, you can buy his mum's house, George, you can buy blah blah. I went, George, come on, buy an house, blah. At the time it was good money and it was 18 years ago, so little money we could buy anything then. And then George accepted and went, go on, So basically the fight was on. I was fighting Sinclair for the world title. And the WBO knocked me back. Our British boxing board knocked me back for it. The WBO, Frank wanted to have a good relationship with them, and
from there, our British Boxing Board refused me to fight for it, for such a prestige belt. So a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
It was a fight that I accepted, and then later on in life, I'm on his undercard against Khan. It's crazy life. Yeah, and then going forward to the Foster fight, I'd seen Steve Foster growing up as an amateur.
Yeah.
He boxed one of me amateur clubmates, Paul Obart, and Paul's like a family friend as well, to be honest. And I seen him give Paul a bit of a beating.
Yeah.
I gave Paul a good beating early. I think he might have stopped Paul even in the novices, because he was only a novice, but he was like a tank.
Yeah.
Foster, a little bully. And I've always said the way to beat a bully is to beat him up and don't be scared of him and put it on him. Beat a bully by bullying a bully. Fight accepted, thought fight for the world title. At the time, the WBU, Ricky Hatton had it, Shane Airy had it, David Burke, my idol, who we would watch every day in the gym, he had it. You know, the Colin Dunn had it, Peter Culshaw. It was a top belt. The WBU was a massive final. It was a massive belt, and Ricky Hatton was topping the bill at the MEN Arena every 4 or 5 months, getting fortunes. I thought, I'll have that. Went on to box Foster, and for me, I gave him a boxing lesson. I don't think I lost a round. I won convincingly on every judge's scorecard, and a lot of people didn't think I'd beat him. A lot of people just thought George was throwing me in, blah blah, to fill the cards up, to get a few quid and all that, but not a chance. There was no way in this world Foster was beating me. I always said I'm from a top amateur boxing club. I always said the best amateur boxing club. And a good boxer always beat a good fighter, and that's basically what I did.
What was it like at the end of that fight? What was the feeling?
I was champion of the world.
That's what I mean.
I think it was 21.
Yeah.
21, champion of the world. And I remember just going, wow, I've done it. I think, I don't know whether I achieved so much at too much of a young age.
Yeah.
Maybe if I would have done it at 26, it would have been a bit different. But at the age of 21, I'd had 21 fights, I think, 22 professional fights. About 15, 12 rounders. So I'd had a good experience. At the age of 21, I was like, but I was still only a baby. I still never even had an early armpit. I never had an early chair. I've never had an early chair. I was like a baby. Yeah. I'm not now, like, but then it's like I was still a kid. And then I was getting invited to things, and I'm like, what's all this? Blah blah blah, going on the pitch at Anfield, doing tours, walking around. Just go in Melbourne and walk around, do what I wanted. Like, what's happening? But now we think, what a divvy. What a divvy it was.
Do you feel like because it happened at such a young age, it was easy to get distracted?
Yeah, I don't say just. Yeah, I was a baby. I was a baby from a council estate where, what you do, like, don't be wrong, I've had a good upbringing. I've got a good mum who's done everything for me, and my sister, they've done everything they can for me. My sister's played like the father role for me. I've had a good upbringing. I'm not going to sit here and go, if I would have done this, I'd have been selling drugs or robbing cars, but I've had a good upbringing. I'm proud to say that. So I'm proud of my mum, proud of my sister. And that's just the way it is. But going back to what you said, Ant, just like distractions. I was 21. I never had like an alpha to just give me a slap, or I've got a dad, like I speak to him now. But I mean, I never had one where I was going, give me, what are you doing? Guide me in the right way. I had 2 women guide me in life, and then obviously George and Danny, Georgie's son Danny, he's like a big brother, doesn't do anything for me, and so I was a bit like, it's hard to explain, and I wouldn't change it as well. I've lived a boss life. I've done everything what a fighter could dream to do. I think I've won things what fighters dream to do. I've met great people, more than anything. I've met great people. I've met great people. I've done what I wanted to do, and I'm still doing what I love doing. And at this moment in time, as far as I'm concerned, I'm coaching the future world champion.
Brilliant.
You defended your title twice.
Yeah.
And then you went on to fight a fella called Choi. Obviously, you were top of the bill. You had some world champions, future world champions on your undercard, Tony Bellew Amir Khan, Crolla, I think, was on that undercard. It was a big card. Denton Vassell was on the card as well. So you were topping that bill. You were the world champ. You went into fight. Choi, as I say. What was that night like for you?
It was a great night, and going back to who's been on my undercard, the fight before that, it was funny we were saying this, I was looking at a programme the other day when I boxed Matthew Marsh in London, Chisora, done his first 6 rounder. Now I feel old. Chisora. Ricky Burns was doing a 4 rounder. I'm like, how old am I really? They're all older than me. They're all older. Delboy and them and Ricky are older than me. Yeah. It's like, I'm fighting for a world title. And they're on my undercard. And like, obviously Ricky went on to be a 3-weight world champion. Chisora, produced a best, being a top world class fighter. And there was someone else. There's another, like, a top rate, wasn't it? And I'm going, well, I've done too bad here. And then going back to the Choi fight, it was one of them fights where I'm a scouser. I want to fight the best. And at the time, and I don't care who you are, any fighter, you offer anyone, you think, well, I'll have that. Anyone comes in the gym for a spar, go, I'll spar you. That's just the way you are. It's instant. And I thought I was untouchable, and got my ass handed to me on a plate. What more do you want? And to this day, I still get stick over it. Off my own mates. Off my own mates. The Dean Willow, he must be watching this. We're walking a Chinese, and he'll say, "Here's Choi." And I'm like, lads, it's 18 years ago. Can you give us a break? You know what I mean? Come on, give us a break, man. I'm giving someone stick, and he'll just say, "Shut up, or we'll get Choi to flatten you." No matter where, I always get it. Yeah. He just always comes back in, and then later on in life, I got him back. I beat him. I beat Choi later on in life, and we got voted round of the year. So payback was good.
We're actually going to talk about that. So I think when you lost your title to Choi then. Yeah. You went on. Had a couple more fights. You were winning and losing at the time. Yeah. But then you actually went on and fought Choi again, didn't you? In the first fight to semi-final.
Yeah, I retired. I retired for 18 months. I said, I'm never going to fight again, I'm done. I'm finished. I might have been 25, retired. I thought, I'm done. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. Yeah. I'd bypassed the British title and all them, the Commonwealth. I'd gone past. I felt like I'd gone past them, but I shouldn't have. Yeah. I should have won a central area belt, or the area belt. You come in but I never. Like, so I was maybe too good at a younger age than I should have been, and there was no one round really to compete against. So I went past them, and then I retired, come back, decided I was going to box again. Spoke to George and Danny, and they just said, look, a fresh start will be better for you. I moved then to Manchester and went to Oliver Harrison. It's mad this because I took Jazza up there. Yeah. I went to Oliver Harrison's, Jazza come up for a couple of sessions, and I was loving it. Then Dodson ended up joining camp, Rocky Fielding ended up joining camp with us, and it was Oliver's was a great gym, great people. Jamie Moore to this day, I'll never forget. First day in there skipping, Jamie Moore walks in, Martin Murray's already in there, and I'm like, I'm feeling at home here, because I was going to try a few gyms out, and Oliver invited me up and said, try a few gyms, and I said, after one session I'm done. I'll do that journey every day, it doesn't bother me. And now we're there and now we're home. And he has a great relationship with all the Manchester people. Well, they don't call themselves Manchester, the Salford boys. We had great football banter. Martin Murray had the rugby banter. We had the football banter. And it was boss. Martin looked after me. Jamie Moore looked after me. Oliver, Humphrey, Nigel Hardman, who was Oliver's padman and number 2, and a genuine top coach, genuine top fella, played a massive part in there as well. They were all good people. Craig Lyon, all good fighters in there. And then later on, I moved back to George. I had a good time in Manchester. Oliver, treated me like one of his own, and I'll never forget the man. And obviously, he passed away, but he played a great part, and I want to thank him and his wife Sharon, who were brilliant for us as well.
So, did they train you for the second Choi fight? Did you go into the prize
Yeah.
fighter with them?
Yeah. Again, there's another mad story, right? That I'd never won it. I'd lost 3 times, and every time I'd lost, the ring had yellow ropes. Prize fighter had yellow ropes.
Yeah.
Going up to Dodson's fights, going to the gym all the time. We had like a car school, so I'd drive Dodson, and Dodson loved driving, and he could talk to anyone. He just talks. He's fucking brilliant. He's fucking class. So he had this man coach called Brian McGreedy. So I'm at the time I had the Blackberry, then Blackberries were out.
Yeah.
I'm in the back of the car. Doddo's getting his mind talked to off some fella, Brian. I'm texting the lads. This fella's fucking nuts here, blah, 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 going on. This fella's round a bend. He's got his fella mind coach, blah, blah, blah. I'm laughing. So then, prize fighter come, and Brian just looks over, he goes, "You've never won in the ring with yellow ropes, have you?" And I didn't even know. Yeah. I didn't even know, and I've gone, how do you know that? Oliver Harrison's gym has got yellow ropes. It's got, so then he started doing all stuff in the gym, and we started stroking the rope and all that. It's not right, this is not right. This is not right. And then, but it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. He was, and I was going to get treatment off him, have a mind coach, and you know what? It was brilliant. It was, honest to God, I tell people now, and they go, "Really?" But yeah. But I didn't even know. I never won, in a ring with yellow ropes. I'd always been beat. Yeah. And then prize fighter was yellow ropes, obviously. Oliver Harrison's gym had yellow ropes. So we started doing this meditating thing in the gym, and luckily enough, he was there at the right time, at the right place, and it worked for me. I thought I had a great run in prize fighter. I had one aim in prize fighter, and it was to beat Choi, and I beat him in round of the year, and it was an unbelievable fight.
The second round?
Yeah, second. I won the first one by stoppage. Yeah. Next one, I boxed Choi. Yeah. Gassed, and then I got beaten in the final by Buckland, but I weren't even asked about the final. If I'm honest, I was done. Because the year I was in prize fighter, now they have a 10, well, stop now, but when they do it, they usually have the quarters, the same. They have first one, second one, then they have to put a 10 rounder on now. So you get a rest. When I was in it, I was on. At that 3 rounds, come out, went on again, 3 rounds, absolutely gassed. Gary Sykes come on next, and he knocked Gary Sykes. Buckland knocked Gary Sykes out, sorry. Yeah. So Buckland knocked Gary Sykes out in like a minute. So then he went, you're back on. I went, what do you mean? Couldn't breathe. Yeah. So you're back on. So then, anyway, cut the long story short, went on, got fucking battered by Buckland, but I weren't asked. Yeah. Had beat Choi, who beat me for my world title, so I was happy with that.
I remember watching that fight at home, that Choi fight. I remember standing up when you were fighting.
It was crazy.
The second round, it was like he was trading. Yeah. And both of you hit each
other.
We
were both gone. We were both out of it.
And I remember, I think you hit him with a left hook. Yeah. And he sort of buckled backwards. And I thought he was going to be out of there. And I don't know how he stood up. But he did. Yeah. But I remember at the end of that fight when you won it, after the third round, I remember seeing your face and you were sort of like...
Yeah, I'd won it.
That's for me, you had to come over yourself.
Yeah, and now I thought, what, I should have just pulled out the final. Yeah. I should have just said, no what, I'm not going in there, I'm done. Yeah. I'm done. But again, you're a fighter and you want to, no matter what, you'll go and have a go. But looking back at it, I should have just said, no what, I'm done. I've beat who I wanted to beat. And go from there.
So, after you beat Choi, you got the chance to fight another person who'd beat you previously, and that's Scott Lowe. But I think that was for the that was for the title at home, wasn't it? Yeah,
IBO, international title.
Yeah, was that at the Olympia, wasn't it?
At the Olympia, Lawton was in prize fighter. So before prize fighter, I said I want Lawton in the first round. I'd like Choi. You know, it never happened. So Stephen Vaughan Jr. and Big Stephen got me the fight with Lawton. Again, Oliver trained me for that, and I'll never ever forget it. I've looked at the ring. There's George sitting there front row. I'm done here. That's me. Don't me. I thought sitting there with his flat cap on his overall. I thought yes, and then I've got a picture of him in the ring after it with me with Oliver. So it was perfect for me. It was a perfect night. It was a special night for me, if I'm honest. And then it was where the Olympia sold. I can sell anywhere basically out. I sold the Olympia out dead quick. Scott Lawton had a great fan base as well. Yeah, he had a very, very good fan base, Scott. And to this day, we're still friends. We go down each other's gyms and do a lot of sparring with, well, not ourselves, but our fighters do a lot of sparring. So,
what was it like coming home to the Olympia and fighting there with such a big crowd with the title on the line? And as you say, it was a 12-rounder, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a 12-round war, and put him over.
Yeah.
How we got up, I'll never know. Put him over. Like, stay down. Just wanted him to stay down, and it was one of them where it was electric that night. Even not even for Scott, it was electric. It was buzzing that night, and it was good to be on home soil in front of my own fans, my own family, and and winning more belts.
Did you feel like you were back that night? Did you feel like more of yourself?
Yeah, I felt more of myself, and I felt it was about me that night. Stephen Vaughan Jr. done an excellent show, as he always did. We were close, me and Steve. We still are. And it was brilliant. He used to always go out of his way for me, if I'm honest, to put the best shows on for me, get me the best opponents, and that night, we were successful. And I always say, I don't win the belt. The team win the belt.
Yeah. So we're going to skip forward a little bit now, and we're going to speak about your first fight with Anthony Crolla. So I think, was that for the British title, was it?
Yeah, it was the British title.
Yeah. So you went in to fight him. I think it was in Oldham, and obviously growing up, you're around the same sort of boxers all the way through the life, like loads of Scouse boxers and stuff like that. So on that particular night, there was probably a bunch of lads who you knew from the same gym who'd moved over and were in his corner. Obviously, the Smith brothers.
Yeah.
What was it like going into that fight with a good fighter, Anthony Crolla, and then seeing some people who are your mates?
Yeah, well, I'll go back a bit. I mean, before that Crolla fight, I hadn't been with Danny or George for a while.
Yeah.
I got off at that fight, and I felt there was only one man who could motivate me and get me to beat Anthony Crolla, and it was Danny Vaughan. I remember Stephen said to me, Danny will train you. So I spoke to Danny on the Friday. He went, you're going to have to come up here Sunday to Scotland. We've got 5 weeks. That's all we've got. I went, okay. Went to Scotland. Killed myself. Training every day with Danny. Brilliant. Had a boss. Didn't even have a gym.
Yeah.
We were just using people's gyms in Scotland. We were just running Rotten Row Hill. Danny and Danny's wife, Sandra, put me in a flat next to where they live. But you know what? It was the best time in life, honestly. Yeah. As it was the best. I love Scotland, and the people up there are brilliant. It was absolutely class. Because I love, like, I don't like all the posh gear. I like rough and ready. I'm a scally. I'm a scout. Yeah, I'm old school. I'm an old school fighter, and Rotten Row Hill in Scotland. If you don't know it, go and Google it like that. And we were doing that every morning. And Danny hadn't changed what George. Obviously, Danny was George's number 2 right through his career, right through my first career, I should say. And then Danny went on his own path, met his wife Scotland, moved up there, and then I went with Danny. George ended up being Danny's number 2, so it was boss. And then we had a great camp, went into the fight, and it was at the time it was like, obviously, the Smiths played a massive part growing up in the same pro stable as us. Me and Swifty, we used to spar. We used to spar thousands of rounds. World class fighter, brilliant fighter. Beefy was always to pick Beefy up for the gym, and vice versa. We'd be friends. And Callum went around the time he was at the amateurs, and Paul, the older brother, he was in the gym regularly with us. George trained the three of them. So it was hard, but at the same time, at that time, I was a bit angry, a bit fuming, but you live and learn, you grow up and you learn. Right now, I'd do the same, if you know what I mean. It's like, it's hard to explain. At the time, I was, well, what's going on here? They're meant to be Scousers, but it's business and it's work. And live and learn.
What was happening pre-fight?
No, I was concentrating on myself at this time. Because I was up in Scotland, so, and I don't read the papers. Well, you do and you don't. At the time, I think Twitter was out at the time, and if I remember, he had a manager or someone who represented Anthony, Johnny, someone, whatever, so he ended up getting arrested, this fella, but he was giving me loads on social media. They all were, all the Manx, because Anthony's he's a respectable fighter from up there, and they love him. They were just abusing me, social media, so I was giving it back. I'm one of them. If I can get it, if I can give it, I've got to get it back. And I love having banter. I love fucking winding people up. I'm the worst in the world, and people will tell you around me I'm the worst. And I play jokes on people. I get them played back. I get the piss took out of me. It's part of growing up. And then I think Paul at this time maybe done an article in the Liverpool Echo saying I wouldn't last so many rounds, and he was going to beat me and win convincingly or something like that. You'd have to get a look at the article to see exactly what was written, what was written, I should say. But I knew I had to concentrate on doing the job on Anthony, and it was a great night for me anyway. And the build up, even in the changing rooms when they send someone in to watch me strap my hands up. I think it might have been Beefy. No, it wouldn't have been Beefy. I think it might have been Paul or Beefy. One of them come in to watch my hands get strapped, and a few more of the Gallagher team were in and out, and they tried to put me in different gloves to what Crolla was going out in. And I didn't accept them. I said, I'm not fighting them. I want the same gloves of him. Stephen Vaughan Jr. is arguing with them, saying, nah, we want the same gloves. And they're going, no. And so I just said, well, the fight's off. I'm not asked. Yeah. I'm getting buttons for it anyway. I'm getting pennies for it anyway. I'm top of the bill. I'm coming to your own city, your own area at Oldham, where Crolla's from. So I'm coming, let's play a fair here. Give us the same gloves. And they were going, no. And they tried to put me in this big pair of BBE while he wore a pair of Cleto Rays. And I just said, I started to put my tacky on. I said, cut them hands off, George. I'm not going here. This ain't getting done. Yeah. Fight's off. And then Paul Speaker, who works for, at the time was working for Hatton, it was a Hatton promotion show. Yeah, come in. No, we can sort this. Give me the safe gloves. I didn't know what, I only wanted it fair.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I got what I wanted. I got the gloves what I wanted, and I went on to win the British title for the first time late on in my career, where I should have picked it up years before. Because years before, I'd beat a British champion and never won the belt. I beat Steve Foster, John Simpson, Scottish fighter, who I've become friends with. Everyone seems to beat or get beat up by. We become pals. I think that's just boxing. Yeah. So me and Simpson, box each other. I couldn't win his belt, but he could win my WBU world title. But so realistically, I should have a Lonsdale belt because I've won it 8 times. Yeah.
So in that fight, I think was it the 6th or 7th round, you ended up stopping Crolla, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it might have been the 5th. I don't even know. Yeah. I don't watch boxing. so
you stopped him, and it was quite convincing. Probably could have been stopped a little bit earlier. They let him carry on. I think you dropped him first, and then he got back.
I think I dropped him in the 3rd.
Yeah.
With a double uppercut.
Yeah. Not
many people throw it. Danny Vaughan had me throwing it in the gym. Boom, boom. I practice it now with my fighters. Yeah. Just throw it. It lands. And it landed. And Danny, taking me out after Danny, he got the tactic spot on. And the double uppercut, and see what happens. And lucky enough, he went over, but I wish he would have stayed down, because it would have been a better night for me. But he got up, and I went on to stop him later on, and it was a successful night for me. And I'll never ever forget the celebrations after it. Never ever forget. And no matter where I boxed, I took people to watch me. No matter, I went to Oldham, went to Newport to fight Gavin Rees. I must have took about 500 people to Newport, stayed over and everything. So going back to that's too far ahead. I'll go back to the Crolla one. In the changing rooms, carrying on, and then the police come in. I said, you need to hurry up and get changed, Derry. They're kicking off outside. I was going, what do you mean? He said, they're celebrating everything. I'll never forget. I've gone out the arena. There's 2 double-decker buses there. there's one of the lads on top of the double-decker bus. Don't ask me how the fuck he got there. With nothing on, just dancing everywhere. And a car had blocked us in. So the buses couldn't move. Yeah. And the police are like, kicking off and all that. And where it was, there's like a hill. And there's a car blocking it. The lads have got out. No one was in the car, obviously. Yeah. And they've shut the car. And they've tipped it over. Tipped the car over the hill, mate. The bus could go and everyone just went out, and then we had a good night celebrating.
So how did you get on the bus, Ant?
It was one of my worst moments.
How did you go to that? I weren't going to say it was you, because
my wife's got to
it was cold that night, wasn't
it?
You could tell it was cold that night, Ant.
So after that fight, then you went on to fight Crolla again, didn't you? And it was in the Echo Arena this time. Tony Bellew fought Isaac Chilemba. He was the co-main event. That fight went to a draw. Did you think you won that fight? Because a lot of people who I've spoken to about that fight from that night, they had you down as the winner.
Yeah, I know I won that fight, and deep down now, Anthony knows I won that fight, and I think it was a draw to stop the crowd trouble. Because he come to my backyard with solely Echo Arena, 10,000 people there, and I thought I won the fight immediately. I thought I'd done everything what was asked of me, and the judges seen it a different way. But it was crazy, man. It was a strange one. It was a strange one where I was up, I was winning the fight, and I laid off the gas. But then I just thought I'd done enough. And I'll never forget, after the end of the fight, me and Anthony are in the ring speaking, and Joe's there. And at this time, I've grew up, I'm a bit older now, I'm a bit sensible, and I said to Anthony, if we're going to fight again, we need to sit down over the table, me, you, Joe, and I'll bring Danny, or I'll bring my team with me. Because at the time, I was like self-managed. I never had anyone guide me. At this time, it was myself. And I went and we'll sit down and we'll do it properly. We'll get a proper few quid out of the game. He went, yeah, 100%. Still waiting. Still waiting. The fight's gone, hasn't it?
I always thought he was going to be a third fight.
Everyone did. Everyone wanted it. I don't think Eddie earned it. I know Frank Warren would have, because he'd back me right to the end. And at that time, I just don't think that Eddie would fancy it. For some reason, I don't think he had it in for me. He always wanted to put me in against his fighters, Eddie, and he finally got to end up beating me at the end, later on in my career.
So earlier on we spoke about Choi, yeah? So you obviously you had your first fight with him, you lost, you went into the second fight, you won, and obviously you were able to motivate yourself a lot easier for that second fight. Second fight with Crolla then, so you won the first fight, your second fight with Crolla. What was it like to motivate yourself for that, since you beat him the first time? Was it a lot easier, or?
Yeah, I can always get motivated, and to be honest, that's the reason why I retired. I had achieved everything, and my body wouldn't let me do what I wanted to do anyway, but self-motivation's easy, and that's why I'm up every day training with my fighters, doing my gym. I'm up at 4:30, looking after people now, because I'm motivated. I want to be the best. I want to be the best coach. Will time be the best coach, and I wanted to be the best fighter, and motivating, because I was fighting a world-class fighter, and I still say this now, Crolla's a class fighter, a world-class fighter, proven world champion. So it was easy to be motivated, and a man weren't beating me in my own city. There was no way. There was not, especially a United fan. I'll give them the City one, because Flanagan beat me. He's a City fan, so we can have that. But a Man United fan weren't beating me in my own city. There's not a chance in this world. And I think the show sold out in so many days, or even hours. It was a great event. But I should have been the winner, I feel.
So skip forward a little bit more now, and I think you were fighting for the vacant Commonwealth lightweight title against Tommy Coyle in Hull. Was that the best knockout of your career?
Yeah, it most probably was, but it was the worst I performed. I felt. Yeah. I think that night I boxed the best Tommy Coyle.
Yeah,
he was fucking brilliant that night. He was razor sharp, everything. I was shite. I was crap. I never won a second of the fight till I landed the left hook. But again, go back to the interviews in the build-up to the fight. I said, no matter what round I hit you with a left hook, you're going to sleep. Yeah. Whether it be the first, the last, the fifth, or whatever round. As soon as I land on your chin, you're going to sleep. and lucky enough, I landed. And I got out of jail. I got out of jail that night, I felt. But because I can punch with either hand, I've always been a big puncher for the skinny fella. I can whack. And I felt that I got lucky that night. Again, in all, outdoor event, walking the ring. For some reason, everyone hates scousers. I was getting cups of piss thrown at me, like everything thrown at me that night. And the security guards saying them, they do a brilliant job. The top security walking the ring, they're brilliant at what they do round the venues and in the changing rooms and that. They still say to this day, it was one of the scariest rings walks. And they've done all the big fights, Joshua's, everyone. They said it was one of the scariest, but one of the funniest and best. Because I just stopped. I'm walking the ring, outdoor event, and I just stopped. I just moved them out the way as to say, I'm here now. I just looked around. Everyone's just throwing stuff. I love winding people up. I'm a wind up. I love that. I love like, yeah, this is what the sound is. And then the fight happened. And if you remember, he come out like a footballer. He had the full kit on. He had the full whole kit on. And I think Joey Barton had tweeted, Tommy Coyle, full kit wanker. Give him loads. Give him loads. So like that went viral and all that. And then it was hilarious. And then he come out with, had the socks pulled to his knee. Again, going back to someone who had boxed, me and Tommy are very, the closest most of how we feel with box.
Yeah, how is he as a person? Because everyone seems to like him.
He's a diamond, he's a great fella. Yeah. We go to his shows, he comes to ours. Me and him done a charity spa a couple of months back. Good egg, he's a good person. I go up to his nightclub up in Hull, see him a few times, go to his boxing clubs, and he's doing good. And the day he opened the gym, I think the year after I boxed him, and I had to cut the ribbon on his gym.
Did you?
Yeah, so I had a mark of respect. And he's a massive star and all, and he's doing great things for the community of people. And in all, he's doing brilliant for, you know, every kid up there, really. Every kid's invited to his gym. He does loads of projects, and let's hope we can continue, and the people of Hull can support.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. So, after that, you fought a lad called Curtis Woodhouse.
Yeah.
He needs no introduction, by the way. Doesn't like scousers, doesn't like anyone, I don't think, but he was an ex-pro footballer turned boxer, had a bit of a big mouth, called you out on Twitter, like he called a lot of people out. He come down, talk me through that fight. In fact, I'm just going to say, you knocked him out, and no one's seen him or heard from him since. Is he dead? Is he anywhere? Yeah. Have you ever seen him since?
Yeah, he won a British title after I flattened him. He moved up weight and won a British title, but there was no way, no offence, but I weren't losing to a footballer, okay? I weren't losing, not a fucking chance. Not a chance I could lose to a footballer, not a chance. And then I was getting married, right? This is a mad story. I was getting married.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a phone call. Do you want to fight? No. They offered me this money. I went, no, I'm okay. Then a few weeks later, or a couple of days later, about 2 days later, another phone call. Do you want to take this fight with double the purse? And I went, no. And I spoke to Danny. I said, Danny's offering this for you. He went, you don't need it. You're getting married, blah, blah, blah. I went, okay. They didn't offer me more again. I thought, cheeky bastards. You know what I mean? In Liverpool, on my own. So then, me and Danny spoke. I know I'm the fighter, and the fighter always makes the decision, but I felt that Danny and George had my best interest at heart. Yeah. But like what I'd do with like your jazz and the people was like, I'll have my input, but I always listen to them. I said to Dan, just take it. You know, it's wages for you, blah. So, okay. And then, so I went to training camp. I boxed him 4 days before I got married. Yeah. Boxed him on a Saturday, got married on a Thursday. Went to training camp for 6 weeks, let her deal with everything, blah, blah, blah. I was just saying, there's not a chance. I can't get beat to a footballer. And I said, I can't even get a mark on my face for my pictures or whatever. I knew that. Obviously, fighting on the Saturday, getting married on a Thursday, there was no way I could afford to get it. And again, I mean, just now I think right now in later on, Danny's getting the rewards he deserves. People who were around us in training camp, Paul Weir, who was Danny's right-hand man in Scotland, was Danny's number 2. Paul had a little stable of fighters, and then Danny would help each other. All them around there at the time, that were using Alec Morrison's gym up in Scotland, and would practice their left hook, right hand, all through training camp. Boom, 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 boom. And Danny was like, it'll work, boom, keep trying it. Bang, bang, right on the chin. And I think that's been one of my best knockouts, if you know what I mean. It's like, it landed perfect. If any young kid wants to see it, it's a basic left hook, right hand. Because I knew Curtis was going to come on me all night, and I just thought he's going to have to have a little bit of this. Boom, boom, and away he went down. I remember him getting up, and he basically got up, and he looked like he was walking to get the bus. I just went straight to...
The bus that was
yeah, looking for you. Where's that? He just got on.
My bus time was easy.
He just got up and just walked straight to hit the ropes, and then the referee waved it off. But I was like, for me, and I always stay back. You can't get beat off a footballer. No disrespect, this footballers are tremendous athletes, but...
Can you imagine the stick he would have got?
Oh, I reckon I'd have got more than I got for the Choi one. Everyone's honest to God, to this day I get stick for Choi, so imagine if I would have got beat by all the footballers that have been giving me loads, because I'm trying to play football. I'm trying to, anyway.
So he sort of like initiated all the call-outs and stuff like that. What was he like after the fight?
Yeah, I just think he was self-obsessed. I just think like he thought he was better than he was. Yeah. He felt like everyone owed him a favour. When I felt that he ruined his football career. Yeah. And he just, it was a mad one. He was just so abusive on social media. And again, I just take a pinch of salt, you know what I mean? I just laugh at them. Still get stick every day on social media. I get some abuse. I get it by everyone. And it's part and parcel of boxing. It's part of growing up and having a laugh. Yeah. But I think this year, you're going to laugh your head off, but I'm going to get rid of social medias for next year. I'm 37 now. You know what I mean? I've got a successful gym. I've got a great amateur club. I'm doing great as a professional coach at Tipler. I'm still learning as a professional coach. And I'm too busy. I've got kids. I've got a family, but I've got to look after. So no more social media for me from next year. That's my goal for next year. No more social media.
That starts on January the 1st, doesn't it?
Yeah, January the 1st. I want to have an Instagram account and stuff, but someone's going to run it for me and go from there. Yeah.
So you ended up retiring then. Towards the end of your career, you just retired, and then you've gone into your own gym now. You've got over 70 amateurs, I believe. Yeah,
I've got about 70 amateur kids. I think I'm going to have about 40 carded who are competing. I've had one in the national final. I've got my little niece who was selected for the England squad. Terence Brown, another young promising kid who I've got. My own son, who's knocking on the door. A lot of people are raving about him at the moment, but I don't like to blow smoke up his arse. I just let him be him, let him be a kid, and I don't want him to box. I don't want my boy to box. What can I do? But he'll have my backing. He'll have my backing all the way. I had a little thing where I said he'd never box. I didn't want him to box. It's so hard. But he's good. He's very, very good, I think. And he's very powerful, very strong. And hopefully, we can send him in the right pattern. 18 months to 2 years' time, I think he'll be signing for MTK, hopefully. Fingers crossed. That's my goal. Yeah. My goal, I spoke to a few people. I'd love him just to have a little go of the pro game later on. You know what I mean? Not too many fights, just one. I'd be happy with one or two. Yeah. And have Georgie Vaughan in the corner, and then when he's done, I'll get him out then. But he'll just go on. I know he'll want to stick at it. But that's a little goal of mine.
Yeah. So in your gym, there's an absolute fantastic atmosphere. Everyone in there is bouncing off each other. When you retired from boxing, did you always have that ambition of opening your own gym, or was it something that you thought about beforehand?
Yeah, I had that in the back of my head. I knew what I wanted to be. I've been around successful trainers, learning, and anywhere I go, any country I go to, I always watch and learn. For instance, I'll use Jamie Collins' dad. I always go and watch whatever he does. I always ask him for a bit of advice. Danny Vaughan, I always take whatever I learnt off Danny into my gym. Oliver Harrison, I've got a bit of that in there. George, I'm with George anyway, so we're partners. We do everything together in the gym. And my amateur coach is Mick Jennings, and who's boxed at a good level. He has his own little thing. Alan, Kev, Jim, we've got a good group of amateur coaches. So there's no... I always say, to have a successful amateur club, there's no boss. We do it for nothing. We're there every night, 3 nights of the week. There's no head coach. I don't like seeing people with head coach on the top. Yeah. There's no one's the head coach. We're all giving our time up to get the kids off the street and to educate them. So I think that's the part of being a successful boxing club. But going back to my gym itself, I'm talking from early in the morning. I've got people coming in, personal trainers in there, clients in there all day, and it's good. And if you can't take stick, don't come to the gym. That's what it's like. You can't wear your new trainees, not in our gap. You come in all your designer gear, mate, you're getting turned around and thrown out. It's one of them gyms where it's good. It's a good atmosphere with a good bunch of people.
Yeah, I thought that. That's why I wore my flip-flops tonight, in case you give me somewhere.
You're all right in there. You're all right in there, I'll pass. Yeah. You go, boss. You still wearing that?
So you've got all these amateurs now, obviously thriving and stuff like that. You've also gone into the pro game.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of pros. Do you want to talk about any of them?
Yeah. So at the moment we've got Josh Wright, who's about to turn over. He's about to sign now and be a successful pro. He's from East Solly, where I was from, the amateur club there. Brian Collins, who's a physio at Burnley Football Club, who's boxed for Tower Hill, up in Kirby. He's on the verge of turning over as well. Big J Farrell, cruiserweight, lost for the Central Area title after putting Damien Chambers over in the second round. Only had to push him one little tiny jab, and then got careless, got beef for the Central Area title. But Jay's going to come again. Jay's a massive puncher, massive fighter, lives in the gym, lives and breathes boxing. He's going to be there as well. Mishak Spears, who Tony Bellew manages, and then the number one in the world, Jazza, who's I always say a successful club is you always need a top pro, and then the rest will follow and look up to him. I know he's the littlest in there, yeah. But at the same time he's number one in the world. He's number one in the world for a reason, and all them lads need him to do well, because then it brings them on. They're training with the number one, and it pushes each other, and they're a good group of lads. There's no jealousy in the gym. They're all amongst themselves, all having a bit of banter, but when the nitty-gritty gets down, we get down to training. And we always do, if a new pro wants to come on board, we have to ask I always ask the fighters, are you happy if he comes? And if one says, blah, blah, he doesn't come. That's how it works for us. That's how, everyone's got to be happy. Yeah. And at the moment, we're happy. I don't need any more. I don't want any more. I'm happy with what we've got.
So just on Jazza, I was speaking about him. We had him in last week, as you know. And he said that it wasn't just him going out there, it's all a part of a team, which is exactly the same thing you're saying now as well. He's actually just won the golden contract. You and Georgie, obviously a massive part of that. What was it like watching him go and win that tournament underneath you and Georgie?
For me, that's been the best thing what's happened to me in professional boxing, even as a fighter. And for George, he's 82 years of age still, producing champions. I'm not going to get on. I don't want any of the credit. It's Jazza and George. Jazza mainly, and then George. But George, like me, George goes, I don't want no credit. I don't want to do none of them interviews and all like that. It's just honest George, to be 82 years of age, to still get up every morning 6 o'clock, to go take him the hill running, and goes to the gym, never misses the gym. Rain, hail or snow, he's on them hills. And if he's sick, he'll come in the gym. It's mad. And the relationship and the bond they've got is like what I had with George 18 years ago. They've got the relationship what I had. And I've seen JJ Metcalf Shane Airey's son, JJ, was a world-class fighter for me. I still say now he's the best light middleweight in Britain. He had the same relationship as Jazz has with George. Obviously, he's moved on to be trained by his father. But it's, it's exciting times for Jazz, and the bond them two have got, George and Jazz, it's inseparable. Honestly, it's weird. You'd have to be around them every day to see what it really is, and it's good to be a part of it. And I only play a small part. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you're the coach, you're the pad man," blah blah blah. But I don't want the praise. I don't deserve the praise. It's them too.
When you're going into a fight yourself as a boxer, obviously be nerves there, but it's in your control when you're in the ring. Yeah. When you're watching someone else who you've coached and trained, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel more nervous, would you say, for them? Yeah,
because when I boxed later on in my career, I didn't get nervous. I was just going for a fight. I was just going for a state. It's like a state now, you're going for a fight. I think after you've been beat, it's like, I'm going to have a bash here. I want to fight. As a coach, you're just happy if they listen to you. Unless a fighter doesn't listen. Because I always, me and George are from the same page. If you ever watch one of Jazz's fights, or anyone we fight, George will stand in front of me. George's very quiet, so you won't really hear him verbally. Whatever he shouts, I'll repeat constantly, and then I know. And then if George will explain something to Jazza, I'll explain the same in a different way, but it'll get through. Even with all the other fights, it's like we're from the same page, so you've got to be on the same page. If not, it's not going to work. And luckily enough, Jazza is a listener, and he listens and it's paid off. It took him a while for him to listen. He must be watching this. It took him a few months, maybe two fights before he. When I say listen, I mean about him resting, and he was doing well too much and certain stuff, and he started listening, and he's getting the rewards he deserves.
So where do you see him going from now? Where do you see your team going from now? Going forward with him?
Right now, I'm not in a position where I can say, because I'm only a trainer. Tony, the bomber, Bellew, he's his manager, and MTK, they're looking after that part, and I'll always just say I'm the trainer. I let them deal with the negotiations, but surely he's got to be knocking on the door for a world title. He hasn't just beat a normal fighter in the final. He's beat the world number one. He's beat a world class fighter, and I don't think he is getting the credit because a lot of people praised him for the win. But if he would have made that fight harder and maybe won and got beat up, got cut and all that, people would have been talking about it more. Yeah. But it was a boxing exhibition. It was. It looked easy. Yeah, it was. And I think the Walsh brothers are brilliant. The top lads, the nice people, genuine people. Graham Everett, the coach, he's a genuine guy. But he schooled him. He schooled a world-class fighter, and he didn't get out of gear, and that's no disrespect. He did not get out of gear. And we know Jazz has got other gears to go to. And we're looking forward to the future, and fingers crossed he gets the world title fight he deserves. There's no one who doesn't deserve it more. He deserves a world title fight more than anyone. 18 months ago, he was fighting in Dominican Republic or wherever he was. He's fighting him, and he went to America, took a gamble, and now look at him. He's just won the golden contract. He's number one in the world. Let him have his break. It's about timing, and he needs a break. He needs a bit of luck. And for me, he's got Bellew and MTK guiding him. They're the best in the game. And myself as coaching wise, and I give him a bit of advice because I've been to it. I've been there and seen it all happen. But let them deal with that, and we'll get him. I'm sure we'll train him to win the fight.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give now to a young Derry Mathews?
Should I use my son for example?
Yeah.
If you want to be a fighter, or be, try be a fighter, or put your mind onto it, you've got to put 110% into it. Be a bit selfish, like Jazz in training wise. You've got to be Jazz is a tremendous trainer, puts everything into every session, and be like him in that way. I was a cheat in the gym. I was a lazy bastard. George would walk away, like, made up getting me rest. With Jazza, you can just tell him something and he does it. So just be like him. Be smart. Remember everyone on the way up, because you're going to see them on the way down. And just don't be too big-headed. Just be you. Be you. Just be you. Don't be trying to be someone you're not. But for me, because it's been my own lad, I'll be giving him a slap if he steps out of line. So I'll be all right. I'm all right, because, you know, and hopefully my lad can go on to be a fighter.
Yeah. So he's got someone to look up to, really, hasn't he? In yourself, who's been there, seen it, done it, and now you're obviously coaching. So he's gonna obviously be looking up to all that, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I mean, for me, I didn't want him to be a fighter. I just wanted him to be him. But he's turned out to be a young boxer. He's been in the gym a long time, since he was about 8. We can't really get him amateur bouts. We've tried, and he's had one amateur bout. He's been in the gym a long time. He's sparred with all good fighters, and so I'm just guiding him along nicely, and then, you know, fingers crossed he can have a go at the pro game later on. And lucky enough to have George in the corner. That'd be my dream. To have George, imagine George doing another Derry Mathews corner. That'd be something special for me, or even Danny. And I always say it's mad, right? Because I always say to Dominic Vaughan, who's Danny's son, I want him to have Derry. I want him, when he turns pro, I want him to train. If he does turn pro, if he decides he wants to have a go, I want him to train Derry. Because it's the way we are. We're family. So
that's a fantastic story. That.
Oh, massive.
The Mathews.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird one. And Dominic's a boxing. He knows everything about boxing. Ask him any question. Ask Danny Vaughan's son anything about boxing, and you get him told. He knows it. You know, I'm talking. Obviously, he's been around boxing all his life, so he knows everything. And that's what I want. I want Derry. If he does have a go at the pro game, I want to have a go at the pro game. George through the corner with me and Dominic, and then see how things happen, and then you can go and be trained by Dom. That'd be my little goal.
So where did your nickname then, Derry Mathews, come into play? Keep it clean, Derry corner.
I'll try. Should have been yours for the bus.
Just so everyone knows it wasn't me on the bus.
Yeah, not just as you go, boss. You're gonna Mickey Van. The boxing referee, the legendary referee, by the way, he's done an article, done an interview. The 3 worst people he's ever refereed: Mike Tyson, Derry Mathews, Tyson Fury.
It's a good little one to
good
be in
company,
that.
Yeah.
And I've still got the article, and he said those 3 are the worst. And I still laugh. Me and him have a laugh over it every time I see him. He goes, "Yeah, you know what I'm on about," and all that. I'm like, Mickey, come on. And then so I got given loads of abuse all over the boxing news, all over the national papers, dirty, blah, blah, blah. And then I just won Young Boxing Writers Award. Not many people have won it. There's only been 2 from Liverpool. Like I said, Nazim won it, Joe Calzaghe, Ricky, and all the boxing writers vote you, and I won that. So I boxed in London. I won it just before the Matthew Marsh fight. I won the award, got me the award and all that. 30th fight of the year, 30th box of the year, wins all awards, whatever it was. Won this, won that, and then I got shorts made, and I put 30 on the waistband, and Mickey Van was refereeing, and he's gone over. Matthews, take your top off. Took my top off, and I had 30, and he just started to laugh. And then from then, it just stuck. And from then, it just stuck. But loads asked me, like, why 30? What's it about? And then. So that's the story. That's 2 stories.
You got told it was because your favourite film was Dirty Dancing.
Yeah. It depends how many wines you've had. Depends how many wines, you know. Just that's the 2 story. A lot of people think it's other things, but it's that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So what we're going to do now is something that we do on part of the podcast. Is we give you a quick fire questions. Just answer the best way you can. The first one is, who's the best trainer in the gym?
Coach or
No, and I mean like trainer who works the hardest. Not just now. I mean throughout your career. Who you seen? Who you think he's brilliant?
there's 3. Jazza, David Burke, and JJ Metcalf.
You never said my name there, Derry. What's going on?
He said boxers.
He said boxers.
Now I'm going to talk about personal trainers who wear the Leichter and all that. Now JJ Metcalf, Jazza, and David Burke. Brilliant. Yeah, they're on a different planet. They just crack on.
Yeah. Who's the worst trainer you've ever seen?
Not saying my name on this one.
I've got a few, you know. I love this lad, right?
Yeah.
He's the funniest fella on social media. He's brilliant as well. He's one of the best fellas you'll ever meet in your life. And he's most probably the most gifted I've ever seen in boxing. Joe Selkirk. The funniest. I'm not doing that. I can't do that. That's his attitude. But he's the best you've ever seen. Yeah. It's mad. Either hand, bang, you're asleep. And you ask George Vaughan, you say to George Vaughan, who's the best you ever had? It's Joe Selkirk. Yeah. I know he never won what he should have won. He underachieved massively. He should be a multi-world champion. He'd beat anyone. He's honestly, he's a different planet in the gym, but he was one lazy bastard.
Who is your sporting idol?
David Burke. David Burke. I wanted to be Berkey growing up in the same amateur club. Watched to watch him train. I wanted to be him. He went to the Olympic Games, boxed everyone, was a world-class fighter. Only thing, he was a southpaw, I was orthodox, and then he won the WBU title. I won the WBU title. Yeah. Won the Commonwealth. I won the Commonwealth at the same weights. So I just wanted to be Berkey. Yeah. Unbelievable fighter. Like loads, I always get asked it. Loads of people go, oh, Nazim, or... But I was lucky enough. I got to see Berkey in the gym as an amateur, and then when we went pro, when I turned pro, and he was already a pro, he come into our stable later on. George trained him for a few fights. I'd done his corner in Malta. I was his cornerman. I was, you know what I mean. So it was great for me. It was great for me because, you know, me idol, I got to be his cornerman. Well, only passing the bucket up, I should say. But I was a training partner as well, so I was delighted.
So what is your favourite film?
Dirty Dancing. Well, you know, I don't watch films, I don't watch telly. I like the soaps.
So you trying to say EastEnders?
Corrie, EastEnders. I used to like Emmerdale. Heartbeat, I used to love Heartbeat.
Heartbeat, yeah.
Heartbeat before school. It was on a Sunday, yeah. Not half.
Okay. Answer this truthfully as well.
Yeah.
What is your guilty pleasure, music-wise? What do you listen to in the shower when no one's around?
And as we said to Jazza, something that you don't want the lads to know about.
I like Oasis. Mate. All the Manx, but the good Manx, aren't they? Yeah, I like the Manx. I like the Verve as well.
The Verve?
I love the Verve. And I know else who's that really loved Spaces.
Who's Space?
Was it Space, yeah?
Space, yeah.
Yeah, Space, yeah.
Space, yeah.
Tommy and them out of Space, they must have loved them.
Okay, so the first question we know, but Liverpool or Evan?
Liverpool.
Fury or Joshua?
Fury.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Ronaldo.
Night in or night out?
Night in.
If you wasn't a boxer, what would you have been?
Footballer.
I've seen you play footy, you definitely wouldn't have been one of them.
If we were a boxer, what would it have been? I don't know, most probably a painter on decorator.
Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Derry, but we've both noticed throughout the podcast, you keep looking at our cups, so we thought we'd get you one, mate.
That's right.
A little...
Your name on as well.
Your name on it and all
that.
that.
He's right. She could have put something in it, like. Could have had me sitting his eye for a drink. I know what. Well done as well. He spelled my name right.
Second time I did I put double T the first time.
Did you? And did it come?
No.
No, that's alright. One T's perfect.
Like, but no,
right.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. It's been fantastic. So thanks very much.
Did Jazz get a cup? No? No. Oh, he's going to be fuming. It's right. Nice one, boys.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much.
Anytime.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.